On December 10th of 2005, my sister called and asked if I could watch my nephew while she went out. I said, sure, no problem, I'll be right over. I hopped on my Jeep Cherokee bicycle, which has a weed whacker engine, and woke up on the side of the road with the EMTs over me, a nasty head wound, broken ribs, and a serious case of road rash. It was 10:30 a.m. and I was plowed. They were loading me in the ambulance when I came to and refused medical attention. My sister was a nurse working at Jupiter Medical Center ER. She came over and glued my eyebrow back on with Dermabond, told me I should just get a gun and kill myself rather than drink myself to death. On December 14th of 2005, I crawled into my first AA meeting ever with what would look like an open head wound, broken ribs, and I identified myself as a problem drinker. Someone from the Living Sober group in Hopestown, Florida gave me a very tiny big book. That little book changed my life. Not because I read it, but because it had Living Sober written on it. I kept up my problem drinking, and on January 7th of 2006, my nephew saw the Living Sober written on the little big book and asked me, "How long have you been living sober?" with such a look of concern on his face. That really hit home. I've been drinking since I was his age. I quit drinking on January 8th of 2006. On January 9th of 2006, I picked up my first and only white chip. My life in sobriety. I got a sponsor and started working steps 1 through 3. Was told I had to be rigorously honest in order to stay sober, make 90 meetings in 90 days. No relationships for the first year. No problem, said a guy riding a Jeep Cherokee bike with a motor who hadn't been in a relationship for 10 years. I made it 3 weeks, and Pam offered me a ride to the spaghetti dinner. We started dating a week later. Yep, 3 weeks sober, and I definitely had no clue what love is. My first sponsor called me out for working the 13th step in front of a bunch of other AA members. I had to look up what the 13th step was. I fired him. I thought he was working for Heineken anyways. I got a new sponsor, Dan, who eventually became my best friend. I walked into the DMV with my completed ADAP sheet and said, "Hi, my name is Rich, and I am an alcoholic." She looked at me, smiled, and gave me my license with a safe driver stamp. I became the coffee maker for 3 days a week for 4 years. I worked the steps, made meetings almost every day. I started a successful business with Pam. We got engaged a year later. Just before our wedding, she was diagnosed with throat cancer. We spent 3 months going through chemo and radiation in Gainesville. Upon coming home, Pam went to stay with a friend's house. And I was calling her that night, and she didn't answer. Her friend called me the next morning. She said she had crushed her OxyContin, and that Pam wouldn't stop talking, so she gave her 8 of her own Xanax, and she was non-responsive. I told her to call 911. Me and my sponsor, Dan, beat the ambulance to the hospital. She arrived with doll eyes. Her brain scan said she was gone. They put her on life support. My sister and the doctor were crying. I said my first real prayer to God. "Oh God, no, not this. Please, not this." And a calm came over me, or else I was in shock. I would like to believe it was God's peace and grace. One of our clients was a pastor in a mega church with over 10,000 people, and they all prayed for Pam. A week later, we were told to say our goodbyes as they removed the ventilator. As they were removing the tube, she opened her eyes, and she said, "No visitors." God had brought Pam back to life. Pam had major brain damage, and she worked hard to come back. A year later, they discovered lung cancer, and she started treatment for that. For 5 years, we went through cancer treatments and clinical trials. AA was there for us with love and support through our journey. Her son got out of prison and moved in with us. We clashed. I was now a caretaker and a warden. I offered to rent him a house. Pam had to take care of her son. And at that point, her health was very bad. She broke up with me and moved out with her son. Dan was always there for me. I learned what true love really is. We went to meetings almost every day. Afterwards, we would grab dinner.
Ed and Rich, I tripped over Anna. uh, and I've got some bleeding on my brain. It's there. I'm seeing a neurosurgeon tonight. It should be, and they said it's nothing to worry about. They're just going to keep me for observation. Probably be released tomorrow morning. It's not a big deal. I mean, anytime you're in a hospital is a big deal, but don't worry about me. I'm in good hands. Liz, of course, is right here by my side, so all is well. And I guess I'll have to watch the Super Bowl. or whatever movie's running opposite it. Things are good. I love you both. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later. God bless you.
Dan had metastatic prostate cancer in all his bones and was in extreme pain. So God spared him all that pain. A few months after Dan passed, Ed, a 70-year-old in the program, told me about an online dating site at our dinner after the meeting. I was ready to find real love, so I posted my profile. God sent me an angel. Her name is Donna. Her family welcomed me with open arms. We have been together over 8 years, and every day I love her more. This should be the happy ending of my story, but it is not. I moved to Port St. Lucie. I didn't find a home group. I went to a few meetings here and there for a few years. One day Donna and I were talking, and she asked me what I would do if she died. I told her I would drink my 10-year-old Corona Light and down 100 Ambien and join her. That's not being spiritually fit. AA has to come first in my life. Without AA, I would drink and eventually die. I would rather die sober trying to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. I am so blessed to have all of you in my life. AA loved me until I could love myself. The proof that love freely given surely brings a full return. The certainty that we are no longer isolated and alone in self-constructed prisons. The surety that we need no longer be square pegs in round holes, but can fit and belong in God's scheme of things. These are the permanent, legitimate satisfactions of right living for which no amount of pomp and circumstance, no heap of material possessions could possibly be substitutes. True ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is the deep desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God. So, believe it or not, you all are my happy ending.
If I mount up through the heavens, way on out beyond the stars, I still be basking in your presence, 'cause everywhere is where you are. And in the words of saints and sages, very far. In our midst, the rock of ages. should